What's the craziest thing you saw a military chaplain do in combat? I found out when Chaplain Mike grabbed a sniper rifle and started calling out wind patterns during a firefight in Afghanistan. This was 2011, forward operating base outside Kandahar. Our chaplain looked like someone's grandfather. Soft-spoken guy from Iowa, maybe 55 years old, thick glasses, always carried his Bible and a thermos of coffee. Chaplain Mike had been with us for 6 months. Good listener, helped guys write letters home, held services every Sunday. Standard chaplain stuff. Never saw him touch a weapon, which made sense since chaplains aren't supposed to be combatants. Then came the ambush that changed everything. We were on patrol when Taliban fighters hit us from 3 different ridgelines. Classic kill zone setup. Our squad was pinned down behind some rocks with nowhere to go. Staff Sergeant Davis was trying to coordinate suppressive fire, but the enemy had perfect positioning. Every time we moved, they'd zero in on us. We had 2 wounded guys who needed immediate evacuation. That's when things got weird. Chaplain Mike crawled up next to our designated marksman, Specialist Johnson. Kid was frustrated, couldn't get a clear shot because of wind conditions affecting his rounds. Chaplain Mike watched Johnson miss 3 shots, then quietly said something that made my blood freeze. Son, you're not reading the wind right. Mirage is showing a full value left to right crosswind at about 8 miles per hour. Johnson stared at him. Sir, how do you know that? Before the chaplain could answer, another burst of enemy fire forced everyone down. When it stopped, Chaplain Mike was holding Johnson's rifle. Wait, sir, you can't. Johnson started to protest. Chaplains aren't allowed to carry weapons in combat. It's against Geneva Convention rules about non-combatants. I'm not carrying it, Chaplain Mike said calmly. I'm just looking through the scope. He spent 30 seconds studying the distant ridgeline, adjusted the scope settings, handed it back to Johnson, aimed 2 feet left of the muzzle flash, halfway up that rock formation. Compensate for the elevation difference. Fire when I say fire. Johnson followed the instructions. The chaplain watched through binoculars, studying grass movement and heat shimmer patterns. Now, he whispered. Johnson squeezed the trigger. 800 meters away, the enemy machine gun went silent. Direct hit on the gunner. The entire squad went quiet for a second. Sir, how did you? Johnson began. Chaplain Mike was already moving to the next position, calling out corrections for our other riflemen. Wind shifted. Now it's quartering from the southeast. Adjust accordingly. Over the next 20 minutes, he directed our marksmen with surgical precision. Called out range estimates, wind corrections, even predicted when enemy fighters would move between positions. Every shot he guided found its target. The ambush collapsed completely. Taliban fighters retreated, leaving behind weapons and equipment. We evacuated our wounded without losing anyone. After the firefight, Staff Sergeant Davis pulled the chaplain aside. Sir, with all due respect, what the hell just happened back there? You sounded like a sniper instructor. Chaplain Mike cleaned his glasses, looking embarrassed. Before seminary, I spent 12 years as a competitive long-range shooter. Won the national championships 3 times. Old habits die hard, I guess. Turns out our quiet Iowa chaplain had been one of the best precision shooters in the country. Taught marksmanship at civilian shooting schools before getting called to ministry. Never mentioned it because he figured it wasn't relevant to his job. Word spread fast through the unit. Guys started calling him Chaplain Longshot behind his back. Not disrespectfully, but with genuine admiration. He'd found a way to save lives without technically breaking his non-combatant status. Command investigated the incident, trying to figure out if he'd violated regulations. Decided that providing tactical advice wasn't the same as engaging the enemy directly. No charges filed. For the rest of our deployment, whenever we had a tough shot to make, Johnson would quietly ask the chaplain for advice. Never failed to hit the target when he followed those wind calls. 3 years later, I ran into Johnson at a gun range back home. He was teaching his son how to shoot. I watched him study the grass, check for mirage, just like Chaplain Mike had taught him. When I mentioned the chaplain, Johnson smiled. That man saved 8 lives that day without firing a single shot. Greatest marksman I ever met, and he never even touched the trigger.